Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, YouTube, anywhere this clip is going to come at you live. Today is Antarctic Press Day. Have we got a treat for you? Your 1 through 4 Hunter from the future, your Antarctic Press and I, and I'm sure several others, not just me, are in collaboration to bring you an honest review of your and Antarctic Press titles, not just your, but several Antarctic Press titles. And I've been doing this for a couple months now, and it's very awesome. It's a very great thing to do for them. It gets an honest review out to you. Sorry, my hair is a little wet right there from all the rain that we got going on. Um, as you can see, the shirt too. And so we get to preview stuff that is either classic or up and coming and things of that nature. Like Yor the Hunter from the future. Um, Apparently, it came. This is the English version that I'm looking at. Yor the Hunter, and the front cover was done by Ben Dunn on this note over here. Very cool cover by Ben Dunn. He's always impressive with his work, as usual. And as you can see, he also has, you've got a spacecraft in the background. You got a spear, and then you got a gun in hand down here. Right here. So then you've got aliens fighting cavemen and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out when this one was actually done originally. It says the English version, edited by Stephen Ross. The Yor the Hunter is by Ray Collins and Juan Zanotto. And it is done in your typical black and white style, and I love that because with black and white you can do so many amazing things, from grayscales to just straight up black and white on a page, or the blood splatter, different things, all kinds of stuff. Whereas in your color, it lends to the whole thing, but then that covers up some of the black and white stuff that's done, which is fine as well, because my comic book that I'm going to be doing is going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to have black and white interior with color covers, so color covers, black and white interiors. Now, with that being said, this book is 139 pages. Now, it shows me that there's 4 books in here. So, um, it's very, very classically done. Again, I don't know what year this was done in, but this also spurned a movie called Yor as well, Hunter from the Future, which I'm going to go watch. Maybe not today, but I will watch it. Now, tomorrow is another drop for Antarctic Press. I've been behind on some of these because I've been doing a lot of other stuff, doing creator-owned stuff on my own side. So, and I need to do more of that. But here we go. So, opening sequence, we already see, you know, somebody tied to a tree, looking like they're about to be sacrificed. Um, he's denying the god of ice. At the end of the Neolithic era, Yor lived on the island of Crete. Yor hunted in the forest and fed several families, and sometimes ventured to the vast sea they called the realm of the day. The Mediterranean was a broad expanse of blue behind the council as they judged Balu. Balu denies the god of ice, is what it says right here. So again, a typical black and white comic book, but very, very well done. I love the elements. I love the black and white look. Um, it's a classic style, okay, when it comes down to it. But it's a very modern look to a classic style. Heavy inks, you can tell where the rainfall is or snow or whatever, because you're seeing it in the pencil marks and the ink, the way they inked it up, which makes for a great. I mean, there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of wording going on here. And that lends you into the whole structure of the book, because there isn't right now a panel that is devoid of words. What I mean by that is you got your thought balloons, your narrator panels, um, thoughts and narrator stuff up here, but very, very well done. I mean, this is the achievement I strive for in myself when it comes to doing my own artwork. And you can see where they did some smudge edge over here. Um, they're telling him he's doing sacrilege because he wants to go talk to the god right there as he's walking up the mountain. But you can tell who the characters are as you're looking at it, right there. So he's making his way up there, and he's talking to the god. But all of a sudden, this giant mammoth comes charging at them. And I'm not going to show you every panel. This leads you to go get the book. But again, very, very well done. This book is not for children. I will go ahead and put that in there because there is nudity in here. You got a whole panel of naked chicks right here. Um, of course, they've got their bottoms on, but they're topless. Right here, unless you don't shelter your children, and then it is for kids. Um, the women are very well drawn. Proportions are great. Um, they basically were cut from the same mold, if you will. On that note, and so as we move along, he's uh, telling one of them that she will be his wife. You will bear or she will bear his children, so on and so forth. And then he's out, you know, looking over the camp, sitting on his own, when he gets attacked by one of the people from the camp that was telling him he was doing sacrilege. So he bears his life after he nearly tries to kill him, and finds out that it's the brother of Baloo, coming to seek revenge. When we move forward, the dawn was gray. Kala left the hut with Tag, the dwarf, traveling behind her. They went to visit Yor's cave, but he had left, taking his weapons with him. And she meets up with Baloo's brother, and she is coming up there telling that the snow, she sees death in it. So it's very well done. I love the structure in it all. And uh you've got dinosaur aspects to it as well. So think Kazar, from Marvel Universe in the Savage Land. And so finally he meets up with him, and basically he finds Yor fighting this T-Rex, and he set a trap for him and all that good stuff, and he goes down, and then he beats him up and destroys him for the food. And then this is the end of the episode. So the comics aren't very, very long to begin with, maybe 15 pages, maybe at tops. So that's a good read. That's not something that 48 pages, that I've got to read all at once, or whatever. So each book, just from here, um, like I said, he dispatched the T Rex after he trapped him, right there. And then the end note says, Yor had to see the other side of the mountain, like every man who seeks a God and hope, and a hope. Those two motivations have driven them men throughout eternity. End of the episode. So he's on a quest to find God, if you will, the God that they worship, at that point in time. So here we have book two, the Blue Land. At the dawn of a boreal day, a persistent grayness marking the era followed the tracks of Yor, the hunter, and Pag, the wise dwarf. So they're got a whole group of people following behind that they don't know about, or that we say they don't know about. So this is how book two opens up, or episode two, if you will. And then we find Yor in the with Kala in the tent, and then an attack happens, and they're breaking into the little hut that they're staying in, and she's telling him to save himself. They'll kill you. All this good stuff. So he grabs her after throwing fire in one of the guy's faces, beats him up with his club, grabs her by the arm, and they take off. Well, pursuit happens. They go deep into the swamp and bog with it snowing still, and they go into this forest, the forest of despair. Just kidding. But they do run into this forest. She's shivering. She's cold because she doesn't have any clothes on for the most part. Um, he's asking himself, why does he feel so different? Where does he come from? He's looking at this medallion that he's got around his neck that's bright and shiny. And they're talking about they must cross the swamp before nightfall. But he knows he's different. He knows something is up. Um, he's starting to remember things as he's going through this right here. So this right up here is the remembrance, and he's seeing that it was a child that was found on in this area, or not in this area, but in this world. And so the pursuit catches up to them. A fight ensues. Typical fights. Um, they grabbed his necklace off of his head after they knocked him unconscious, and now he put on his uh, necklace. And then in comes Kala and takes on these brooders. And all of a sudden, here comes flaming arrows down from the sky. They take off with her. Yor is waking up. They're wanting to throw her into the abyss. And so Yor takes shot and fires and kills one of them with his bow and arrow. And then Yor has fallen or been thrown off the abyss, and he's laying down there bleeding. And then more memories are happening, and then it's the end of the episode. So, um, he sees the ship flying across. So this is where the futuristic part comes in, right here. This is him as he's bleeding, right here, and it says, "Perhaps it isn't a curse to keep living." End of the episode. So that was end of book 2, right there. I'm loving the style. I'm loving the way it all works out. Um, Now we're into the blue people. I'm assuming book 3 here. You're seeing him after he stood up at the edge of that cliff that he fell down on, and then he starts to climb. He starts the long, arduous climb up, and comes out of the darkness after almost falling. A pterodactyl is seen through the night sky, and then a whole bunch more, and then they start fighting them off, kind of like in Jurassic World with the pterodactyl scene, the bird cage. I think it was Jurassic World. Well, now he's on the quest not only to find the god that they worship, but now he's on the quest to find Kala, the girl he's going to marry or become the mother of his children, you know, and be his wife. So, um, so he was getting ready to have his way. The chieftain of the blue people was getting ready to have his way with Kalal, Yor's woman, and he takes action and beats the crap out of him. And then they start killing off the blue people, and then they rescue all the women that these blue people have captured in this last little section. So they've been slaves to do their bidding, to do their will, and you know what that means. So, and then he finds his woman and his medallion, and all these women are trying to thank him, but he's like, no, no, I've got to go find my own woman, which is good for him because he could have been like, hey, look at all this, but no, he does not. He goes and finds her crucified, tied to crucifixion. Not, and here's where they're thanking him up here, as you can see, topless. But this is her in a crucifixion stage, but only tied, not nailed to a tree. So more battle ensues as he wakes up and finds out that, hey, he's trying to rescue her, cutting her off. Battles. He takes his necklace back. They take off. And then the cave-in starts to happen a little bit. So, as they're going further and further through the cave, they find this big figure right here. This is them crossing to this big figure. And he's telling them, don't look down. There's a big octopus thing down in the water. It's reaching up to grab them. And it destroys the bridge that they're on after they've already crossed. Well, now they're being pursued yet again by this blue people group, and they're thrown into the rocks where they can't hit them. Yor goes up to a section and starts pushing on a rock, and we're about to find out what happens after that. But again, the black and white works really well in here with the gray scales and things like that they did in here. Now, I don't know if they used on the press-on stuff or if they just lined it out, which would be as fine of a line as those are and as clean as it is. I'm assuming it's a press-on for that, but that's fine. That works well here. Okay, so he pushes this rock down that's holding water back, and all of a sudden, water starts rushing in on them here, and they get swept away. And then we come into the end of episode. They're outside. Pag, do you think Yor is human? I don't know. I only know what I must. Follow him. Or I only know that I must follow him. Yor has just discovered love, friendship, and the curiosity to know where or who he is and where he is going. They descend into the land of mist together. End of episode. So that's the end of book 3. And I still got a whole lot of book left to go. So I'm trying to figure out if this is, just 4 parts because it showed me like 4 parts, but I'm seeing a whole lot more in here. Let me see where end of next episode is. But all in all, this is a 2 thumbs up review from 412 Productions. And sorry I didn't put that out at the beginning, but I am Monty Anderson of 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. And there you have that. Okay, so this is your next book right here, In the Land of Mist. Yor, a hunter from the late Neolithic era, sought to uncover his origins. The medallion that hung from his neck drove him to a journey through glaciers and valleys, in search of the truth. By his side were Kalal, the woman given to Yor as a reward for his bravery, and Pag, the dwarf. Pag was from more sophisticated lands and spoke of a singular god that existed free of idols. So you've got all kinds of different elements happening in all of this, and it's all very cool work. Like I said, the writer and creator of this is Ray Collins and Juan Zanotto. And so the English version was done by Stephen Ross. So, but this is very, very cool stuff. Um, I'm digging it 100%. And you know, just the books we've gone through so far. The artwork is phenomenal. The the dialogue keeps you entranced into it. The battle scenes, the action, the animals, from the dinosaurs to alligators to I mean, they're all dinosaurs, but you know, he's now in this episode they find a woman that has a medallion kind of like his, bum bum bum, right there, and so now they're having to fight off this giant crocodile or alligator, whichever one. Yor was in a um, snare trap, basically. And you speak my tongue? Who? I am Yor. I come from the sea, and you? And she notices the medallion, almost sad. Her voice became less melodious, almost sad. I came with those men over there. They died in the landing. The ship exploded. I can't remember anything else. I don't know why I brought the bodies here. I put them against the ice, and the ice swallowed them. Then the pygmies came and took us for gods. That thing hanging from your neck. I don't know. Don't ask me. Don't ask any more. I forgot where I came from. Let's go. Prepare to die. Die? Why do I have to die? You know, because of the plague. The plague that is disseminating these people. So everybody's got a disease, a plague going on. They have a god who eats human flesh. Every time they make a sacrifice, the plague stops. And the eternal destruction also stops among my memories. The word salvation appears. I don't know if I had a revelation before the impact erased my memories. But if there is another life, another heaven, and salvation, we will meet again. There, Your goodbye. So they're about to set him on fire, set him ablaze, when all of a sudden, here comes the two swinging out of the trees like Tarzan. And all of a sudden, all these icicles fall from the sky and start to rain down. And he's like, untie me, I'm roasting here. The log that he was tied to the most began to burn, and the woman was knocked unconscious that he was talking to that wanted him dead. And he grabs her up, takes her off outside of the rubble of everything. And so now she is safe with them. And now his woman sees him with another woman. Uh oh, boom, boom, boom. So Pag goes and gets Yor goes and they're talking while Kalal meets with him. You love him? He's mine, and I will fight for him to the death. If you love him so much, why don't you have children that look like him? And so Blondie is walking with Pag, and Kalal is walking with Yor at the end of this episode. Thus, Yor the Hunter felt in some dark way that the metal disc somehow identified him with three false gods, now in, eternally trapped in the bowels of the mountain, and with Roa, the golden goddess, a link that could bring him closer to the people he came from, a people that perhaps had ships that crossed the sky, other gods, other eternity. End of the episode. So there you go. Now, I could keep going and going, but you see, there's a whole lot more. I went ahead and printed out everything on this one. I'm seriously loving the artwork. Um, enjoying all of it. Now, there is a lot of cat fighting. There is a lot of battles back and forth with blue people and things of that nature. And this next episode called Red Tropic, the Golden Goddess gets killed. And then the next episode, Fire from the Sky. Again, more battles, more, all kinds of different things. But it's just one thing after another that keeps your interest in the whole thing. And, you know, and so there is the end of that episode where they are basically have a walkie-talkie, in there, and they're talking to somebody. So there's that. Oops, sorry about that. And then beyond the horizon, they're in a boat. They're on their way to, continue to find out where he's from. Find out more about himself. More naked women, sea creatures, a giant octopus or giant squid, I'm sorry. And then end of that episode on a stormy sea. So there's a lot of elements of Bible mixed in here. She and the Infinite. They're on the stormy sea. They've crossed the river. There's a giant spider. So there's Lord of the Rings in here. There's the Bible. There is The Day the Earth Stood Still. Those types of situations. Now they've come to a futuristic city. And there's all kinds of weird stuff. People in space suits and things of that nature. I mean, but it's very cool stuff. This is the comic book that I would be buying myself. The Home of the Gods. I love this opening page. And I'm just going to show you this one. because I love the opening page to this one. This is pretty sweet. This is the type of stuff that I used to do back in the day, type of artwork for myself. And, now he's in this futuristic city with a whole new group of women and all this futuristic stuff that he's looking at. And again, he meets up with Kalal again, and they have their stuff. The Fall of an Empire. So we're almost done, and that's, there's more than just the books that they said that was here. But, as you go through it all, the final page is the happy family, basically, and all the adventures and people that they met. But no, this is a book that if I could find it now, I would go buy it 100%. Because, why? Because this is the type of book that I would want in my own collection, if that makes sense. I'm not one of those collectors that, buys up everything that comes out. Because why would I do that? Why would I buy up everything that comes out? Especially if I didn't like it. There's stuff that I stand behind and there's stuff that I enjoy. And this would be one of those books that I would definitely get behind and, be like, yes, I am definitely getting this book every time it comes out. I would even do a subscription through a comic book shop, and so with that being said, that gives some testament to this book because I am not like that with every book. Now, if it's an Uncanny X-Men book from the 1963 series, yes, 100%. I would be down to purchase those on a regular basis. But here, you've got a book that maybe I'd heard of before, but I didn't get that in depth to it. Now that I know what it is, I would definitely go look for it. I love the artwork. I love the pace that it goes at. I love the structure of it, the character building, that you get to see many different characters throughout the storyline. And, it's a multi-book piece. So I'm not sure how they presented this one out into the world, if it was a graphic novel or, those type things. But, we've got a thick book here, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chapters. So you've got 10 books right there in that 139 page section, which means it's probably about 148 pages with all the advertisements in the book, 100%. So there you have it, an honest review of Yor the Hunter from the Future. And I give it 2 thumbs up, 100%, just because it is a very well done book from start to finish, and it gives you something to look forward to page after page. Um, do they find the God that they're looking for? Do they this? Do they that? How does the love triangle work here? With all these different women that are coming at Yor, and things like that, with his one woman that was rewarded to him. But there you go. That is my review of Yor Hunter from the Future by Antarctic Press. Ben Dunn did the cover of this one. Great, great stuff. Highly recommended. And go find this book, and you might be able to find it on AntarcticPress.com. Go check it out. But that is it for today. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.